Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the Cryptoverse. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin, a date with destiny. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, and check out the sale on Into the Cryptoverse Premium at intothecryptoverse.com. Let's go ahead and jump in. So as we've mentioned many times before, it's only a matter of time before Bitcoin does in fact have its date with destiny. And if you're unfamiliar with what destiny is, it is in fact the 200-week moving average, which is currently coming in at approximately $22,368. Now, if we zoom in, we haven't technically tested it yet, okay? At least I don't believe we have. I think we came within a couple $100 or so of the 200-week moving average. But in fact, it is an important level to watch. Now, the reason this is an important level to watch is because historically, Bitcoin has respected it, okay? Now, the last time we were at the 200-week SMA was actually back in March of 2020. You should note, though, that it was not the bottom. We went to the 200-week, but we actually ended up having a wick all the way down to the 300-week SMA. So, you know, I would love to be super deterministic about it being a cycle bottom, but I also think we need to be somewhat cognizant of sort of what's going on in the macro right now and say, look, I mean, you know, it could be, but at the same time, we do know that we have gone below the 200-week moving average in the past. In fact, it's happened on a number of occasions, not just in March of 2020. We also saw a wick well below the 200-week moving average back in August of 2015, and we saw a wick below it in January of 2015 as well. So if you're looking for some magic number to hold no matter what, just recognize that while we do like the 200-week moving average, we have fallen below it 3 separate times in the past, okay? Now, one of the things that we previously talked about is that the 200-week moving average, interestingly enough, has always occurred fairly quickly after falling below the 100-week moving average, okay? So we fall below the 100-week, we pretty quickly go to the 200. Fall below the 100, quickly go to the 2. Fall below the 100, quickly go to the 200-week moving average, right? This is the third time that it's happened now. We've made comparisons to, the 2018 move over here, right, where we were putting in higher lows. We also discussed that it's hard to know if we're at sort of like at this point or if we're further along, let's say the failure of the 100-week SMA to hold as support. Well, unfortunately, Bitcoin has not seen any real relief in quite some period of time. We just basically went straight from the 100-week to the 200-week moving average, and now we are spending a little bit of time there to see if in fact it will hold as support. Some interesting things though that I think are worth pointing out is that every time that Bitcoin has gone to the 200-week moving average, it has actually corresponded to when the 20-week crossed below the 100-week SMA. Okay, so you can see historically the crossover of the 20-week below the 100-week has corresponded with Bitcoin hitting that 200-week moving average. Another coincidence is that every time that this has happened, it has also corresponded to us hitting the fair value non-bubble regression band, right? Here, here, and here. So look, there certainly are some areas of confluence. Now we have to also understand, is the macro any different? You know, I think the biggest thing that's different between now and a few years ago is that inflation is very high and the Fed remains relatively hawkish. We do have a Fed meeting tomorrow, so we'll see what they're going to do. My guess is they're going to raise by 50 basis points. I imagine the market has theoretically priced that in, but who really knows? So we'll see if what the Fed's going to do. Now, arguably, regardless of whether it's a cycle bottom or not, even these cycle bottoms over here, you still had long periods of consolidation before you actually saw a bull market again. Okay, I mean, this lasted for a long time in 2015 and 2019. But, again, given the fact that the dollar remains in a relatively strong uptrend, let me just quickly pull it up. Don't take my word for it. You can kind of see here the dollar remains in a fairly strong uptrend. And given the fact that the Bitcoin has still been stuck in traffic on struggle street with inflation continuing to go high and the Fed remaining hawkish, right there with the Nasdaq, by the way, I do think some caution is merited. With that said, it's played out the exact same way, right? 3 times in a row. The cross of the 20 and the 100 led to us going to the 200-week SMA and eventually going to that fair value. Again, happened over here as well. The cross of the 20 and the 100 led to us going to the 200-week SMA, and it's now happened for a third time. Some other areas of confluence, I suppose, would be if the Nasdaq actually gets to its own 200-week moving average, and we see some type of a bounce. Okay. Now, that actually happened back in 2008. You can see the Nasdaq rallied off its 200-week moving average to the tune of 21%, and in the year 2000, the Nasdaq rallied off of its 200-week moving average to the tune of 30%. Now, I was hoping for some type of relief by Bitcoin this month, but it certainly has not happened yet. I do think it's worth keeping an eye here on the 200-week moving average because we are, in fact, more or less right on top of it. And in fact, our date with Destiny has finally been underway. Okay, so I know a lot of people weren't sure if we would actually get that date. I think some people thought that Destiny would ghost us, but in fact, here we are yet again. Bitcoin has found itself at the 200-week moving average, which is something that has not historically happened very frequently. Okay, I mean, it happens somewhat sporadically and after fairly long bear markets. The one thing that I suppose is somewhat different is that, prior bear market drops to the 200-week moving average, like this one over here was like an 85% drop in 2014. And in 2018, the drop to the 200-week was also around the same level. This one to the 200-week is only about a 66% drop. So that's probably the biggest question mark, I mean, you would theoretically, with diminishing returns, you would theoretically see diminishing losses. I'm not sure if it would take such a big step upwards. And arguably the reason it's so high is because instead of just going straight down from over here, if we had, we probably would have gone down close to 80% to hit that 200-week moving average. But we had a bounce. We put in a double top. And so now it's only about a 65 or 66% drop from the all-time high, to or maybe a 68, 69% drop back down to the 200-week moving average now. So it's probably the biggest question mark. If it were to go down, say 70%, that would put Bitcoin at around 20K. 75% drop would put us close to 17K. In terms of value, long-term value, the 200-week moving average has been a relatively good spot to buy Bitcoin. But as you can see, it has not certainly stopped us from occasionally going below the 200-week SMA. But we'll see what happens here at the 200-week if we'll see some type of consolidation around it for a little bit or not. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. Give the video a thumbs up. Check out the sale at intothecryptoverse.com. We have weekly reports and videos. We have all sorts of data, all sorts of charts. Check it out. Sign up and lock in the low rate. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up. I'll see you next time. Bye.